Everybody say, I want to live. I don't want to go to jail. All right. That's something we do here. That's what we actually think you, we teach you how to do it. And folks say, yeah, I listen, and I am alive and free. Okay. I got to say hello to everybody before I get to our main guest. We got a lot to cover in a short period of time. Lady, you just heard, Ann is here.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hello, hello. The soul is here. Mike is here.
Yeah.
What's up, soul? How you doing, man? What, you frozen? Oh man, why is he frozen? All right, I can't wait. I can't wait. He's stuck. Oh, no, you know what? He's got his mic is he's mic'd.
Oh,
Uh,
let me.
he got to unmute. He can't mute. He can't hear me. I don't know.
We'll work.
All right, you
We'll
work
do
on it.
it.
All right, we got now. First, I got to give a quick shout out to the San Francisco Giants. Have to do that. Have to do that. Friday night. Friday night they had African American Heritage Night at the Giants game versus the Yankees, and they honored the Negro League. In fact, they had a panel before the game, and it was the head of the Negro League Museum and Condoleezza Rice. Not that I'm a fan of Condoleezza, but she's from Birmingham, and she was there. There was a wonderful panel, well attended. And then to top it off, our good friend, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s attorney and speechwriter, Dr. Clarence Jones, threw out the first pitch. Threw out the first pitch.
Mm-hmm.
He got him out there, and he was accompanied by his good friend. I know this dude ain't really my friend like that. Steph Curry was there with Dr. Jones. And they went out and threw the first.
Nice.
It was very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. Gave away Willie Mays bobblehead that I got. Willie Mays, and look, man, Pete, them things was going crazy. Dudes was trying to take my bobblehead, man.
Hey,
Not
I
just
can't
kids.
hear
Mom
y'all.
was trying to take my bobblehead, man. Look, no, you can't have my bobblehead. Man. It was. I got to give they had the Glide choir sing "Lift Every Voice and Sing." I've never heard "Lift Every Voice and Sing" sung in a baseball. Right. And then this talented, I guess he goes to Oakland School of Arts. He played the national anthem on a saxophone. The boy sounded like Sonny Rollins. Y'all don't know Sonny Rollins, but John Coltrane. He sounded like he was magnificent on the saxophone. Congratulations to the San Francisco Giants. And now the Negro Leagues, I have on my Josh Gibson jersey. Because now Negro League statistics, I don't know if you noticed, Ashanti, are now going to be added to Major League Baseball stats. Right?
Yes.
So Josh is shot up to the top. I thought Babe was something. No, Josh.
Overdue, but we made it.
And we made it. Absolutely. It was a wonderful, wonderful evening. And a bunch of other news coming up. And let me add some people. And I want you. So listen. Do not start watching. You ever watch Unsung on TV One?
Old school.
Yeah. Well, it used to be, used to have Behind the Music on VH1. Right now they got Unsung on TV One. Don't start watching them shows. If you watch one, you got another. So I was just turning on TV, getting ready to come here, and then I stayed there for 5 hours. I saw the Barcades. You have to be old school to know the Barcades. You don't know the Barcades. All right. The Shy Lights. Y'all remember the Shy Lights?
Heard of them.
I started
Yeah.
you seen her. I started singing Have You Seen Her? Right. And these stories are just wonderful, so well done, right? Right. Confunction. Confunction. I learned I knew the Confunction story, but it was stories are deep. And
The
then
Bay Area's own.
the last one, I had to turn to y'all, Rick James. I forgot Rick James spent time at Folsom. Did you know? 3 years at Folsom.
Okay.
That boy did a whole lot of drugs. Anyway, all right. But the stories are well done. It is definitely everything you didn't know about the artists. They're very well done. But if you watch one, you're going to have to watch 5. All right. So what's up? Let's get
Can
some
y'all
news.
hear me?
We got to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it quick.
All
What
right,
you
cool.
got? What you got? We know the number one story of the week is.
Oh, it was a busy week. There was a lot going on.
No, there's only one story.
Well, politically and yeah,
No, but that's the biggest story about the boy. The boy's a convict. Okay, he's a convict.
like you said, he don't have a number yet. That's the story, but he's getting closer to having one, huh?
I want him to get a number so I can call him by his number 4447766. But he ain't got a number yet. But that okay. He's convicted. Right? He's a convict. All right. Y'all want to let the convict? That's up to you.
You know, I gotta just round of applause to that jury.
Oh yes. Oh,
And I
yeah.
wonder if New York is the only state where folks would stand up to him. You
No,
know,
that ain't the only state.
I don't know what
I
other
mean,
state would do it.
true. That's true.
What about, okay.
I
That's
think New York might be the only one because they know him.
I would
Their
hope not.
relationship with him
They
has
know
gone
him.
back.
Yeah, they know him.
They
Yeah, you
know
know.
him
Yeah.
separate from president. You know,
Right,
they know
right.
him,
Guilty.
and they like you ain't whatever. You ain't nobody.
34 counts. That's a lot.
I like the one with Lionel Richie singing once, twice, 34 times a felon.
Lionel did that.
You know, the means no, he didn't, but you know how they put that stuff on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'll tell you the one I really, and I felt this a lot, was they had a member of the Exonerated Five
Yes.
on CNN. He was like, you see, turnabout is fair play, dude. Turnabout is fair. He didn't say nothing else. So you took that.
Well, he's supposed to feel that way.
and he was like, no, now you
It's
see.
personal for him.
Oh,
That's
very
right.
personal. Okay, let's go. We got a couple minutes before I got to get to somebody.
Oh, and just the last thing on that on Trump. When's the sentencing day? Is it July?
Yeah, 4 days before the Republican National Convention. Yep, 4 days. It's gonna be interesting. He could go to jail, but you will see. You know, we'll see. Right now, I'm just basking in the glory. He's a convict.
Well, then we also want to express condolences to our First Lady.
yes,
Yes, that's right.
Michelle Obama's mother, Marion Robinson,
Yes.
has died. All right. The picture I have this picture of her with the family. Michelle says, my mom, Marion Robinson, was my rock, always there for whatever I needed. She was the same steady backup for our entire family, and we're heartbroken to share. She passed away today. Barack said there was and will only be one Marion Robinson, and our sadness were lifted by the extraordinary gift of her life, and we will spend the rest of ours trying to live up to her example. Rest in peace, Marion.
And you know, she lived at the White House during the presidency. If
Right.
she was there.
Yeah.
Ain't
nothing like when you got kids that have grandmama right there. You know what I mean?
Hey, there was a black grandmama in the White House, and Malia and Sasha wasn't doing nothing they wasn't supposed to do. But I tell you what, they was probably eating good too, and getting a whole lot of love all the time
That's
too.
right. The cooking.
Well, I mean, you know, they was eating good because they had people cooking for them. They live in the White House. Okay, that's different. But
grandma cooking too?
hey,
you know how that is.
I know grandma's supposed to be retired, but in my perfect world, grandmas make every dish. You walk into a restaurant and Big Mama is cooking. That's the way I like it. But I realize, you know,
So
work out the way I want
Big
it.
Mama cooking. The kids came over to my little housewarming. They helped put it together. And one of the things that I fixed was I call it creamy Italian angel hair pasta salad with shrimp, tomatoes, mushrooms. Okay. And Reed, 13 years old, said, Gigi, I don't know what you did to this salad, but oh my goodness sakes. So, you know, yes, Gigi, grandma, hey, whatever you put your foot in, we are going to eat it over and over and over again. It was just off the hook good.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yes, Big Mama's in the kitchen.
Some happy grandkids.
Yes, they were.
Mhm.
Okay. We got a guest who popped in on the Zoom, and I'm gonna defer this last story because it's funny, and I may need to make funny thing like during the break. Okay. Bosco Conte, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Man, great to be here.
What's up, big brother?
What's
Yeah.
up? What's up, Malcolm?
How you doing, sir? Good to see you again.
Man, I am excellent.
There we go. That's right.
Look at that. All right now.
Oh
All
yeah.
right.
You got a few events you want to cram in these few minutes you got before we get to our guest. So I know you're going to be gone next week. So go right to it, Bosco.
Absolutely. So my name is Bosco Conte. I'm a music producer. People know me from doing more than 40 records with E40, records with Kanye West, J. Cole, many more. And I have a nonprofit called High Wave that is located in Oakland, California at 2781 Telegraph. And we are having the first, can you hear me? Yes.
Oh yeah, we got
Okay.
you. Go ahead, brother.
We are going to have the first music and tech festival in Oakland on June 8th, Saturday, 12 to 5, with headliners The Far Side. We got Just Blaze coming all the way out to rock for you, talking about some of his latest production, one of the
Great
greatest
producer.
producers of all time.
Great producer.
Oh yeah, Just Blaze. We're talking about all of Jay-Z's biggest hits, Girls, 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 Kingdom Come, so many records for Just Blaze. I'm gonna be playing the electro spit, of course. This is a talk box that I created. Ooh, that sounds like this. So I wanna welcome you to Highway Fest, June 8th at 12, 2781 Telegraph.
Let him have it, brother. Give it to him. Give it to him, Bosco.
That's right. That's right.
You know you can do all that.
Oh man, we can do it all, and you're gonna have all this technology and music live and in person on the street. It's gonna be incredible. We have local artists, the Prospect Band. We got Soul Lauren Adams, Honey Gold Jasmine, Dame Drummer. We're gonna have, in addition to live music, we'll have tech workshops where people can learn how to create music production with Professor Nasira Nelson from UC Berkeley. We got Lance Coleman, who's going to be showing you how to create art using AI and other digital technology and to create music on the spot. Kev Choice, Ryan Nicole, Meta is going to be there showing the latest VR headsets. So this festival is our gift to the community. We are thankful to be part of this community in Oakland, and we want to showcase all of the incredible talent that is out there. Our mission is to provide a platform for artists to learn technology, to learn entrepreneurial skills that they can use to create generational wealth in the Black community. So this is an important festival. Come on out, enjoy. It's FREE, it's free.
I love that price. $3.99.
Oh yeah, free
Bob,
99.
We got love everything that you said. How can people give me one more way that we can leave with the folks to find out about the festival?
You gotta either go to our Instagram, which is Highwave HIIIWAV. That's HIIIWAV at Instagram, or our website HIIIWAV.org. and / you can just go straight to our homepage and you can RSVP. So please RSVP. It's free with an RSVP, and come on down 12 to 5. Enjoy the music. Again, Far Side, and this was
We got to go.
All right.
We got it all.
Thank you for
Gotta
the
go.
street soldiers,
can't stop. I
thank
know
you,
how it
street
is. I know
soldiers, them street soldiers, electro spit, baby.
Hey, Bosco, we gonna need a new
Thank
theme
you,
song
man.
real soon, okay? We're gonna have to talk about
We're
that.
glad to get you on. All right.
I
Thanks,
got you
man. We got
covered.
it all.
We need a
Hopefully.
new theme song.
I'm still
We
up
need to hit
next
you every
week.
week.
All right.
You too,
Brother.
Dr.
Talk to you
Marshall
soon.
and Malcolm.
Big respect,
Right on, brother.
man.
We'll see you
Brother.
soon.
Thank
For
you, man.
sure, man. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. All
And-
right.
and
all right.
Lady
Sounds like a
Steph,
wonderful
yeah.
thing. You better if you don't stop, you'll stop. See you later, man. Thank
Much
you.
love,
You got
man.
it.
Highway
got
Fest,
it,
come on
brother.
out, June 8th, Saturday. Let's go.
Wow. Wow. what
And
was
Doc,
that?
let me just tell you, he doesn't
What?
just play that. He made that.
I know. I heard that.
That's
I heard
his.
that.
He
I heard
made and
that. I
sells
heard
that
He
instrument.
made it. He made
Yeah,
it.
yeah, a version of the talk box we all know from Roger and Zap and
Roger
Computer
and
Love
Zap.
and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
reminds me of
yeah,
all that.
brother from Oakland made the technology. Real cool brother, and yeah,
He's
everybody
not
should go out
from
to that.
Oakland.
He is.
He not from Oakland, but
Where's he live?
his
Or
company.
is he
he's
from
he's
somebody? He
Portland.
moved here or what?
Yeah, he lives here. He's from
Okay.
Portland. That's a real hip hop legend, man. Icon.
No, he was great. I mean, I didn't know all of that. Y'all and people even got to get him in here. All right.
Real
All right,
cool,
let's get
real
to the
cool
show.
brother too. Yeah.
Let's get to the main event. The main event is we're going to talk about men and mental health tonight. Men and mental health. June, there's a lot of things going on. It is Black Music Month, correct? And
Yeah.
It is also, we just came off of May, which is mental health month. So we're gonna that. It is also gun violence awareness month. We got to work all that in this month. And what I like to do during this month is we don't have a men's history month, y'all. We have women's history month, and we spend the whole month of March on women, right? Which is fine. So I make June as best I can the unofficial men's history month. I want to spend some time with them because we got Father's Day during the month of June. We do that, and we're gonna begin tonight with a conversation, not our first conversation, but our latest conversation on men and mental health. And to do that, we have two gentlemen who are working hard in this area. We have somebody who I've known for a long time, Ashanti Branch, who runs the Ever Forward Club.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Returning champion.
Yeah,
What's up, brother?
And we have a man I haven't seen in years, but I've been hearing all kinds of wonderful things about Mr. Fab.
Hey, Dr. Marshall, how you doing?
Thank you, brother, for being here and his thug therapy. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that, having wonderful, wonderful things. But to kick it off, I wanted to read something that I have here and just get your reactions to it. I got to find where I started. Where did I start? All right, this is something that I saw, and it read, Black men speak up about mental health barriers on Capitol Hill. Suicide is one of the leading causes of death nationwide, and the numbers are rising at alarming rates for boys and men. There are few Black male counselors. Men make up only about 15% of all counselors. Many agree that the pressure to fit into societal molds can take a toll on men's confidence and mental well-being. Hearing that statement, both of you, does that resonate with you in the work that you do, or how far off of this? And when I saw this thing on Capitol Hill, and it involved a lot of athletes, by the way. It has from the NBA there, it has from the sports, and then we're talking to Congress about Black men and mental health, which is something that is, we haven't heard about a lot. But either of you, let's get some reaction to that statement before we get into the work that you do. So who's first?
I think I'll take a swing at it.
Okay.
As Black men, we aren't allowed a wide range of emotion. The emotions that we're allowed are, that can be detrimental to ourselves or detrimental to others. The emotions that are accepted in society is anger and frustration, which leads to the perpetuation of violence amongst someone else. And then the things that we're vulnerable about, depression, insecurities, and other things that are, when vibrated at higher frequencies, are detrimental to ourselves. So that means that the emotions that we can show harm and hurt to someone else, and the ones that we can't show can show harm and hurt to ourselves. So you put us in a very truculent and turbulent situation when coming in that, and mental emancipation is definitely needed because we're jarred in this labyrinth of our own thoughts, and it becomes mind-boggling for one trying to clear their way.
Wait, you hear that word labyrinth? I'm about to look that up. Damn, that
Hey.
was, I think I know.
Brother's vocabulary is
That brother got a
great.
vocab.
I know that's right.
Vocab. Fab got a
Alright.
vocab. I mean, I ain't a rapper, okay? Ashanti, your reaction to that statement?
A rapper should have a vocabulary now. Come
That's
on now.
right.
Thank you for reminding folks,
But
brother.
here's the thing.
I'm marginalized
Not
as a rapper.
just throwing out words.
Maybe
Got
it's
the
the one
right
jump
word
in.
and
One
the
at a
right-
time, y'all. One at a time.
Hey. I'm with it.
MC's got words. That's all I'm saying. MC's got words.
I think
Ashanti, your reaction
what
to
we've been
that
seeing
statement?
in the movement, the Million Mask movement, when we ask the young men to write these 6 words anonymously, right? They get to talk about what's on the front, what they let people see, which is what Fab talked about, and they actually we ask them to write those 3 words of things they don't let people see. And over again, young men are talking about, I don't get to show sadness and fear and worry. And so imagine the amount of stress that you have to carry by constantly shifting into and out of these masks. And some don't even know how to take them off. So they're like, who they've been trained to become, they are, and they have a hard time breaking free from it. And I think that's what we continue to see. So if you don't know that you can show sadness, fear, worry, or any empathic emotions, then what's going to happen is you just stay in this one lane. I told a young man yesterday or a couple of weeks ago, I was like, dude, you know you're super emotional. And he's like, what you talking about? I'm like, you're always angry. You're always angry. Every time you show up, like, I'm glad you're here, but you always angry. What's happening? Because he doesn't think anger is an emotion. He thinks anger is just what's accepted, respected, and is never inspected usually. Tell me what you're angry about. Like,
Right.
what's going on behind that anger? And so
Right.
I think a lot of our young men have used anger as a cover-up emotion.
Mm.
Like, if you don't know how to deal with embarrassment,
Right.
one of my young men had a breakup, heartbroken, but he's talking about this girl out of anger. And I'm like, are you angry or are you heartbroken? No, I ain't heartbroken. Just talking about. And I'm like, brother, you have a right to be heartbroken. Like, but what if you don't know how to navigate heartbreak? What if you all the men in your community have never said, here's what happens. My heart was broken when this relationship ended. You always told, I can be angry about it. And I think that's what we end up seeing. So I think, imagine if all the emotions have to get channeled into one area, you end up being a monster.
I think everything starts with acknowledging that there's something going on. Right? If you don't acknowledge it, I mean, you know, if somebody's out, you an alcoholic, no, I'm not an alcoholic. I ain't got no problem. I ain't got no problem. That's probably the one thing I've heard from brothers all the years I've been working with brothers. I'm cool. I ain't got no problem. What's going on? I'm fine. And I knew they wasn't fine, and they knew they wasn't fine. But so the fact that we're looking into this is just incredible for me. I love brothers. I want them to stay alive and free, but I also know that they can oftentimes be their own worst enemy and everybody else's own worst enemy. And so I love the rise of there's one thing you have, that there are a lot of therapists looking into this, but to the groups that men are being involved in, to me, they're taking it to another level. The work that you're doing, and the groups that I see of men talking about the issues, which they would never talk about before, to me gives me a lot of hope. But before we get into the work, let's find out about you two. I mean, I whenever I do the show, I assume everybody, I get new listeners, never have heard you. Let's talk about you, your background, where you come from, your early upbringing, what you went into, and how you got into this work. So, Ashanti, we'll start with you and we'll go to Fab.
Yeah, I'm Ashanti Branch from Oakland, raised by a single mother. My father died before I was born. I think my journey started then. My mom, in that 3 months before I showed up here, a lot of grief and sadness and fear and worry. My mom was 22 years old. And so I show up here on the planet, a very emotional little boy in Oakland, California, in a city where you're not really allowed to show emotions, and I feel everything. So I think what I learned through the journey of just trying to figure out how to be is, if I shut those things off, then I get more accepted, right? So elementary school, suspended 20 plus times, all for fighting. I didn't start not one of them.
I heard that when you said that the first time, 20 plus times.
I mean, I got suspended like every other week. It was madness. Me and Eric, we fought most of the times, but everyone else got a piece somewhere. But I didn't like fighting. But there's a rule: you can't let people pick on you, because that'll make it worse. You can't go tell the teacher; that makes it worse. You can't ignore it; that makes it worse. So you end up just realizing either I'm gonna have to fight or I'm gonna have to just take it. And I think that's how it all started. And then the journey of going to middle school, Oakland, for Calvin Simmons. Now Life Academy, Fremont High School. Then I went to college to study engineering. They told me, look, in middle school I got bullied. Middle school was rough. It was tough. But what I realized was that, man, if it wasn't for Miss BP changed my life. So shout out to all the teachers out there. I'm hoping you're enjoying your holiday, and some are not out till next week. So shout out to all the teachers. But Miss BP changed my life in detention one day. She said, Ashanti, you're smart, but you're acting like you're dumb. She said, life doesn't give you what you want. Life gives you what you get, and you got to make the most out of it. And that sentence changed my life. And from then on, I was focused. And I went to engineering school, graduated as an engineer. Then something told me I should be a teacher. And I was like, nah, teachers don't make no money. This engineering thing is what I worked hard for. And so teaching finally caught me. And I first started teaching at San Lorenzo High School.
Hold it right there.
Yep.
Because that's when the second career begins, and I want to come back to that. But I just want to get people to understand your background, and you're looking at your own life's journey. So we'll come back to that. Fab, what about you?
Raised in Oakland, California, single mother. My father died from AIDS. My mother, you know, recovering drug addict, struggled, did what she did, had to do. Me and my mother grew up together, so we were very close.
Mm.
Close in age, close in spirit. We spoke the same language. Wonderful woman, amazing woman, did the best that she could with uh, the little that she had. But, you know, it was maximized and amplified because it was with love. Um, Always a, you know, pretty well accepted kid. Um, Excelled academically just based off the fact of my mother put curriculum in my hand. You know, she gave me dictionaries and thesauruses and things at a young age. That was my punishment. If I would ever get in trouble, I would have to, you know, I would have to read, and I would create the reality that I'm living now. You know, all started from her actually giving me an opportunity to dream. And I think it's imperative that we give our children an opportunity to dream and to have an imagination instead of always shutting them down. I'm growing older, following my dreams, sticking to my dreams, living it out. And now I'm just in a position to live in my dreams. And that's what it is, you know. Is I don't want to go, you know, into ravaging details about, you know, the particulars of my childhood, but I had a pretty normal Oakland life, or whatever that is. We've normalized abnormal activities. So, you know, I was no different than anybody else growing up in the city of Oakland, but thrived, and finding my position and finding my path and my purpose. And in scripture, they say one that finds its purpose has lived a purposeful life, but to help others find their purpose even adds more purpose. And that's what I'm doing now.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Oakland Tech. I graduated from Oakland Tech.
Okay. Middle school?
Middle school. I went to Emory, went to Longfellow Elementary.
Okay.
So it's just kind of like in the same vicinity in North Oakland, California. Yeah.
Y'all know that place like the back of your hand. Let me get the number out for anybody who wants to talk to Fab and Ashanti. 877-955-1061, 877-955-1061. We'll take calls as many as we can during this first hour of the show. What, and you talked a little bit about your turning point, Fab. I don't know if you talked especially about a turning point that led you to the current work that you're doing, because it's special. In my mind, it's special. You know, I could throw my growing up in there. You know, I always say I grew up in South Solomon and Gomorrah, South Central Los Angeles. That's what I call it. You know, but I got to tell you, when I came here, I mean, that's gang territory. All right, okay, that's Crip and Bloods. That's all. I mean, and before that, it was just other gangs. So when I came here, I always wondered, ain't got no gangs here, man. I couldn't believe they had no gangs in the Bay, right? You know, they tried. They actually tried. But, and I still marvel at that. You know, they're in Portland, they're in Sacramento, they're in Stockton, they're in I don't know, but they ain't here. And I've always, they could never gain a foothold here. But of course, there were other issues here, right? The drugs and money and all that other stuff. But what led each of you to the current work that you're doing? Because, and how did you find your way into this niche, helping men with the issues that they're dealing with? Because, you know, like brothers, you know, Ashanti and I were in this film called The Mask You Live In. That's how we met. We met in this film, The Mask You Live In. It was done by Governor Newsom's wife, Jennifer Cybele Newsom. I didn't know he was gonna, and he knew I was gonna be in it. I remember the first time we saw the show, we saw the film, and it's powerful. It's still it's my number one go-to thing when I talk about these issues. And that has become the phrase that I use to describe so many men, the mask you live in. And I knew, even when I was working with the guys I was working with, gangbanging, drug dealing, I knew it really wasn't them. And I said, y'all faking it. This ain't really you. Now, maybe I got that way because I had them when it was in the 6th grade and I saw a different side of them. So then when they're in the 12th grade and they dealing dope, I'm saying, dude, this ain't you. And I knew that, but the mask. Let's go. We got a call. Let's do this real quick. We got a call. You're on Street Soldiers with Mr. Fab and Ashanti. Go right ahead. Your question, your thoughts, please.
We missed her.
Gone. 877-955-1061. 877-955-1061. Back to what I was saying. And since I knew the real them, I was never afraid of them. You know, I was like, you know, you got everybody else fooled out there, but this persona, and it was a street persona, I knew that wasn't really you, right? And that allowed me to go in there with the calls back. All right, you're on Street Soldiers with Mr. Fab and Ashanti.
Hi, my name is Joe. I'm from the Bay Area. I got a question for Fab. What advice would you give to me? I lost my wife last year to suicide, and she left behind our two boys, 6 and 10, man. And it's been a struggle, man. It's been up and down.
It's a difficult thing when you're dealing with suicide because it begins to make you interrogate yourself as if you missed something.
Yeah.
And you begin to analyze it, and sometimes you overanalyze it. And I'm no therapist or I'm no clinician, so this is not any diagnosis. This is only through lived experience of me having me having friends that have committed suicide and close partners. It's a situation that actually makes you test your perspective of life, because you sit back and you say, man, what did I miss? You want to take it so personal. Like, were there signs? Were there anything that I could have picked up on that could have prevented this? But I think overall, as a man, I think that you deserve to be vulnerable and emotional as possible, and don't hide it, because what that does, that will build up a level of frustration that will eventually lead to you hating yourself because you didn't get a chance to grieve. When my mother passed, it took me several years to actually just flump and give it out and just, sit back and give her the grievance that she deserved, because grief is the last deposit of love. And sometimes in your mind, you're probably like, I have to stay strong for the children. You can have,
which I do.
Yeah, but you can have dual emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You can be strong, and you can still show vulnerability because you have been affected. It's okay to be affected. You just can't become infected.
Yeah.
So, embrace it and do what you have to do to remain a father, but always be emotionally available to your children and to yourself.
Lady,
that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. I've been having us go through family therapy, and it was tough for me to even push myself to go to therapy, but I know I needed to do it, not only for me, but for my boys as well, because they're so young.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Lady E, you want to add to that? You want?
Yeah, I'm just unmuting. Recognize the strength that comes with vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing weak about allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to feel. That's one of the things that's one of the gifts that's taken from our men. They're not allowed to be vulnerable because that seems like there's something wrong with that. There's something weak in that. But that's a reflection of your strength. And you are giving your boys the gift of being able to have their emotions, to feel. Trust yourself in this process. Be honest with yourself on this journey. It's excellent that you are getting therapy. That shows your strength, your courage, and your power to sit and talk about what you're going through this process. So take your time. Grief is something that comes and goes. In the midst of being capable and handling your business, something can happen, and you just cry. And you've got permission to do that.
I appreciate those words.
That comes up and says, what did I do? What didn't I do? What could I have done? Some questions can be answered, some of them may not be, but it's important that you continue to live.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Hey, brother, look, now we here look, you can call us anytime, okay? You can call us anytime. All right? All right, 877-955-1061. Thank you, man. That was beautiful. That was beautiful, brother. We got a call? All right, here we go. You're on Street Soldiers with Mr. Fab and Ashanti Branch. Go right ahead.
Hello. Hi, my name is Faith Fabiani, and I'm calling because I actually work at West Coast Children's Clinic, which is in Oakland, and I'm in the CSEC department, which stands for Commercial Sexually Exploited Youth. And we do like presentations, nonprofit presentations. And I just really, first of all, want to say thank you for everything you're talking about, because we are constantly talking about in our presentations to other service providers how we need to have more organizations centered for men on men how to be men and teach boys how to be men, especially in these neighborhoods. I'm also somebody with a formerly incarcerated, giving back to my community. That's what I do. I'm on the National Advisory Board, and I would love if there was a way that we could connect as in our organizations, because we are constantly trying to bring in men to come talk to our at-risk youth.
I'll tell you what, if you go to stayaliveandfree.org, that's the Street Soldier website. Leave some information there. I can reach these two gentlemen and put you in contact with them, because we want to help as many people as we possibly can.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Love your guys' message, and just thank you again for being on the air.
Thank you. 877-955-1061. Give us a call. We're talking about men and mental health. Is the mask you live in a good metaphor for? I like it. It allows me to get inside, because I know that the outside, what I'm seeing, isn't really what you are. What do you think about it? How do you like that?
Well, for us, when we first did the activity that in the documentary, it seemed like I had been trying with these young men at Fremont High. I was a dean that year to try and get them to open up. Like every time we have a meeting, they come, they eat the food, and then all of a sudden we start talking about real stuff, and somebody wants to start an argument. Like it's almost like they knew that we were about to go deep, and it was a resistance, and I got it. I got it. So when they asked about the film, I was like, well, look, these group of young men, you should go to our other club, because those young men have already broken through. They're open up. But the young men I'm with right here, they're not opening up. So you don't want to see this, because there's resistance, right? And I think what I tried to do when I invited them to do that activity for the first time, I was like, what if they don't talk about it? What if we just give them the room just to write about it? Because it was not trust. They knew that if they told somebody what they were going through, they could get used against them, that it could be shared abroad. And I think what they didn't realize was that they were all going through the same stuff. Now I was a dean, so I knew what was happening with a lot of them one-on-one in my office. But when they got into the circle with each other, it was a battle. And so I think the mask was a way, when it first happened, I didn't know it was going to work. I was like, well, let's see what happens. And they wrote the words, and then we threw those papers around, and when they got a mask of somebody else's, you just saw the room drop in. And I think it's what you've been doing, brother. I've been wanting to get over to one of the events, but I'm telling you, to know that you're not the only one. I think if you think you're the only one, you're going to keep that armor up, because it's like, I'm not going to make myself weak or what we told them.
I ain't showing this part of me.
That's right. Because if you're told that it's weak to show feelings, then I'm not letting anybody make me feel weak. So I'm going to just keep the armor up, right? And I think it's always even if somebody else goes a little bit first, you're still not sure it's gonna work, right? And I think it's just making the space safe. I think we need it. I think we need it, and that's what this movement has been about. And I think it's a great meta. It's easy enough to say, here's what I'm letting people see, here's what I'm not letting people see. And we do it anonymously first, so that you can find this trust and say, oh wow, other people are doing the same thing in here, and then we go deeper,
The two times in that film that happened, and I just want to say, the two times in that film with your young boys who were juniors and seniors in high school, right? 17, 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
16, 17. The only other time that it happened were with lifers in prison. And you could see the end result of not doing that at that age and carrying that the whole time. And then they bared their soul when they were lifers, saying, and they say, this is what I saw, this is the persona that I took on, and it's led me to here. And it's so striking when you put those side by side. Yeah.
I think the mask are defensive mechanisms, and the masks come in a multitude of varieties. It comes in street monikers, it comes in the ego, and this is the me I want you to meet.
Yeah.
You know, we've learned how to do that. We've hidden our deepest insecurities in street names, and and we grow into that, and we get so far deeply embedded into it that we actually forget who we are. And unfortunately, our innocence has been corrupted by these streets, and when people get so far into it, we're lost. That's why in some of the workshops that we do and that we've curated. Our main topic of discussion is learning how to reveal to heal.
I love that.
Reveal at what intersection did your life get off course?
Yeah.
And my main obligation in doing this kind of work is to derail the derailed.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is one that has been derailed, to get them off of that track.
Sure.
And kind of like readjust and realign the trajectory and where they're heading. And it's a keen asset that one has to have, because you have to have great observation skills to see those that are masking.
The street names is interesting because I would never address a brother by a street name. You call me, no man, I don't want to talk to that person. I want to talk to James. I want to, I want to talk to Michael. I don't want to, and I got some street names. And if I started, this brother I met in LA named Time Bomb, right? LA, Time Bomb. I don't want to talk now. Time Bomb. I'm talking to you, Time Bomb. Let's see. Now, Time Bomb meant it was just a matter of time because until it was going to be boom bomb, right? And he did detonate. I don't want to talk to you, man. I want to talk to you. And when I talked to Freddie, which I finally got his name, it was a whole different conversation with Freddie than it was with Time Bomb. Because with Time Bomb, he was presenting this side of him, the persona he had taken on, right? So I would tell, I met this brother. Now, this is the craziest street name I ever met. I met a brother in Lompoc named Evil Scrooge. I never forget that. Evil Scrooge. Man, why you name Evil Scrooge? Brother said, because I commit crimes on Christmas Eve. That's what he said. I don't know if it was a joke or whatever. I said, brother, I'm not talking to you. I'm addressing you. I want your name. 2 months later, I got a letter from him, written to me, Dr. Marshall. This is James. Conversation changed right then and there. So there's this persona, and you're right, absolutely. The street, you develop this thing, and again, see, my thing, that's not the real you in the first place. And by the time they make that discovery, some of them never make that discovery. But when you go into these prisons, and they finally figured it out. So I love what you're saying. Everything that we're saying is the same language, and your willingness to go in there is what I admire the most.
Sure.
Your willingness to do it, because see. You want to say something? Yeah. My back is turned to you, so I'm not looking. Go ahead.
Yes, it is. I just have a question, just for a little more clarity.
Go ahead,
Mr. Fab, you talked about, I said Mr. That's not right. That's Mr., right? I don't know if I'm saying.
My name is Stanley.
I can call you Stanley?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and he said, yes. All right, Stanley. Now, you said reveal to heal. Would you say a little bit more about that? I mean, because what is being revealed in that process of revelation that happens? Would you just say a little bit more about that, what you do, and then how that healing takes place?
I mean, it comes to a term that's like absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. And just because something is not presented doesn't mean that it's not there.
Right.
And most of the time when people present themselves, they don't present the 100% of who they actually are.
Never.
It doesn't mean that they're not there.
Right.
And we live in times where the mask is so easy to be sold because it's profitable. Social media, we can create an account and that can be a mask. We can create an alias, a blind account, a dark account. We can do a lot of these things where we can wear these masks way beyond Halloween.
Oh, absolutely.
And in that, we don't have to present who we actually are. But in the building of the minds as a collective, when we want to start seeing where are we going? How do we feel as far as when we want to sit down and plant some things? What are we planning? Are we planning the real version of ourselves? Are we planning the imitation version? But understand this, once you plant the imitation, you'll only grow artificially. So now we have to get back to being the authentic version of ourselves. And that requires somebody revealing to heal, which is very vulnerable, especially when we trust certain individuals. The people that we trust have hurt us first.
Absolutely.
The biggest letdowns to some of us young men were our fathers. Some of my biggest letdowns was being 6 and 7 years old, waiting on the stairs for my father to come play catch with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he never coming. My mother yelling at me because she knew that he wasn't coming and she just didn't want to break my heart like that. But she was saying, get in the house. because she was tired of him hurting me. So hearing late night calls of her verbally abusing him because of what he had did to me by not coming gave me trust issues. Those were the first trust issues that I had. Then my mother using drugs, my mother stealing money out of my piggy bank to go get high. That gave me trust issues. These are layers that us children grow up with that we don't unravel until we feel a comfortable space. Sometimes success comes before maturity. So you have these successful individuals that are hiding who they actually are behind their success because they lack maturity to actually reveal to you.
Man.
Okay.
Hope y'all listening out there. 877-955-1061.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely, absolutely. Wow.
I remember I showed this scene a lot
Thank
to the
you.
kids.
Thank you.
Sometimes
Thank you.
we showed this scene, Boys in the Hood. I love this right at the beginning because I call Boys in the Hood the making of a killer. Right, I call Doughboy was made to be Doughboy. Doughboy is a wonderful young man. He's got a heart. He loves his brother. He stands up to the big boys. They take his football.
Right.
But there's no daddy there. And the mama, do you remember that scene early in the movie when his mama says to him, you ain't
You ain't gonna be nothing but
you ain't
like your
gonna never
daddy.
be, you just like your daddy. She calls him a fat little, I can't cuss on the air and say the word, right? You know, where you going? You ain't got a job. The boy's 11 years old, right? And I went over and saw that scene. I thought about my family. And I'm like, man, my mama was nothing like that, right? To get that from your mother, right? And she's obviously got her issues and who she's taking it out. She's taking it out on him. And the scene where here's what he's doing. He's walking back and forth, right? It's going in one ear and what?
Out the
The
other.
other. And he can't wait to get out of that house. Problem is he's going outside to the homeboys who are all getting the same stuff. And he's going from the what they call it, the frying pan into the fire, right? And these young men are shaped that way, right? They're shaped that way. And they don't know how any other way to be. And it's unfair.
But you also missed a key component in that conversation of his lack of ability to interpret and comprehend what she was saying
Okay.
by when he said, "Are you done yet?
Are you done? Yeah.
Is that it?"
Yeah. Is that it? Right. Yeah. I remember that. Is that it?
Because at
Right.
the end of the day, that was the statement of where he said he's tired of being verbally abused by you.
Mhm.
Now,
Right,
many of
right.
us have been in situations where our parents haven't been emotionally available to us. So the things that they say to us becomes redundant. And although it may be teaching going there, that course becomes it's not interpreted to us anymore because we all know that you're emotionally aggravated. And like the brother said early, Brother Ashanti, at the end of the day, some of the young men can't speak about it because they don't have emotional vocabulary to describe the sentiments that they're going through. So they shut down instead of articulating on what it is that they're dealing with. Many of us had parents that were professional. My mama was a professional cusser. She put cuss words together that I didn't even know went together. And I just didn't understand. I'm like, how did you put that word with that word? That was a bar. And so she was a professional cusser.
Right.
Like, and she did all kind of different. If she was a basketball player, she'd have a 98 rating on 2K. Like her cuss game was crazy. She could in church, she could do the mumble curse. Where you like, oh, you got the no look cuss word. You in a grocery store, you got to put that down cuss word. It's like, wow, she was amazing like that. And so these are the things that us growing up, we had to learn to process this. And many of the young men from our generation and you guys' generation never got a chance to hear their voice because children at that time were to be seen and never heard.
We got a break. We got to take a break. We're coming back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to YouTube. Was it? Say it again.
At Stay Alive and Free.
Come on. You can still call, I hope. and look, this is wonderful. It's wonderful. We're going to continue. Take a break. Pay the bills. We'll be back. More Street Soldiers with Mr. Fab and Ashanti Branch. We'll be back.
Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul? Trying to find my soul. Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier. Street soldier, here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
You still there?
Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier,
here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier,
here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruct.
Hour number 2, Alive and Free. Street Soldiers. I'm loving the show. We had a wonderful first hour. Our guests are Mr. Fab and Ashanti Branch, and we're talking about men and mental health. Men and mental health. I'm still vibrating off the first hour. We're going to be joined by another gentleman to talk about the sessions that Mr. Fab is doing. Let's just begin your second hour with this. When, how, and you were talking, Mr. Fab, about your growing up, Ashanti. When do we begin to adopt this? When do we shut off the emotions? How early does that start? I can remember my own life and the young men around me growing up. And by the way, let me just say something. This ain't a generational thing. This is a man thing, okay? The things around us shape us a little differently, like cell phones shape us differently, but this has been going on for a while, right? With men. But as far as you're concerned, how early does it start? I have my notions of when it starts, but Shanti, when do you think it starts?
Well, I mean, I think it starts as early as the people around you conform you to like acting not the way you are, but the way they want you to be. I think it could start. So for some people, it starts way later. If you have a home where you can be emotive. In my mom's house, Mr. Fab talked. My mom didn't do a lot of cussing, but her look and her other words were so powerful, right? Like, don't be crying unless I'll give you something to cry about. I'm like, I'm already crying. You ain't gotta give me more to cry about. Like,
I'll give you something to cry about.
It's almost like the idea is like, how early does it start? And I don't think it started out of like, I want to hurt you, little kid. It's like, well, she's trying to play both roles. My mom was trying to be the mom and the dad at the same time. And in her mind, like, okay, well, I got to raise this boy to be a man, but she doesn't know how. So she's overcompensating for all the other things that she thinks she wants, right? I talk emotionally with my hands when I'm talking, right? So my mom would be like, stop talking with your hands. She'd hit me. And I'll be like, what the heck? I'm trying to tell you a story about what happened at school today. What? And now I don't want to tell her the story no more. And now we're having this little battle because like I was a kid who was very emotive, right? And so because I got all that trained out of me, then you become more stoic and you be just like, okay, I'm gonna just tell you what I gotta say. And then you're like, oh, you're the angry person. Why are you angry all the time? I'm like, there's no anger. I'm not angry. I don't think I'm angry. But you know, when you walk around growing up in the Bay Area, definitely Oakland, who you mugging? Are you mugging me? Like, huh? I wasn't even looking at you. But you can't smile too much, because if you smile too much, something wrong with you. And if you're frowning, then you can't be going to mug somebody. So you're always kind of constantly being tested about how you show up. And I think that's what the work was always about. So I think as a teacher, I saw these high school students, it was happening with them. They were ninth grade. So I knew it happened in middle school. And I was a vice principal at middle school. Shout out to Montera. I was a vice principal there. You saw it was happening before they came to sixth grade. So you know it's happening even earlier, the way they get conformed to show up in a certain way. And that's part of our work, is like, brother, what's going on? Tell me what's happening. Like, what am I missing? Because you're getting kicked out of class every day, but I don't see that as who you are. But you and your teacher are not getting along. So what's happening? Like, you can't be in my office every day. So we got to find a way to have you and the teacher get along. But how do you have those conversations when oftentimes you come to the office and you're supposed to just get attention and go back to class? Yeah. But that's not what you need. You need to navigate those feelings in a healthy way. And I think what you talked about the nicknames, have you talked about the street names?
I got some street names, brother.
I think what I saw also is like this idea is that if you don't talk about the emotions in a healthy way, they're going to come out in some unhealthy ways. And I tell young men, you're like a landmine.
Yeah.
And no one knows when they've stepped on it, because they didn't know that by saying this to you was going to tip it. They didn't know that by stepping on your foot on accident walking down the hall was going to tip it. Yep. They didn't know that because they talked to your girl and they didn't know that she was dating you, and now they tipped it. So many things cause it to get tipped off. But if no one even saw it coming, because every time you're cool and you're laughing and everything is okay, then when it snaps, it's actually dangerous,
Flashing.
Yeah, those triggers. As you get older, you're more mindful of, I won't be responsible for for who triggers me, but I will be more mindful about what I'm triggered by. And you ask when it starts. I think it starts in the infancy staging of your teaching. We all know that from 1 to 5 years old, children learn the most that they'll ever learn for the rest of their lives, because that is the time where they're filling up their processor and their brain. It's as a computer. This is the infancy stages of your computer, forming all of its data, forming all of its RAM and all of its memory. And in that, you're downloading more things that you ever will be. You're touching, you're feeling, you're seeing, you're observing, you're taking in, you're putting out. And so the things that are being put in our children in the infancy stages are most important at the earliest stage of their arrival, just based off the fact of it's imperative that we teach our children how to think and not what to think, because in what to think, they become a slave to thought. And if you become a slave to thought, then you'll never think outside of the box to over excel past what is normal. And we have normalized, as I said before in the aforementioned, abnormal activities. So our children will become redundant in the processing of thought provocative or being thought provoking when they're moving forward to the next level. You'll never create that child that changes the narrative of their heritage. They'll only fall in line of what their lineage has done. I spew to my children that you must learn how to think. And I want you to challenge whatever you feel uncomfortable with comprehending. And in that, if you don't want to, fight it. If something doesn't seem right to you, ask educated questions and thoughts where you'll challenge what someone is saying. Don't just say it because you want me to be subservient to your thought or your beliefs, because at the end of the day, we're all disciples of someone else's thought. So let me create my own analogy or my own version and analyzing what you're telling me. Why does that have to be true just because you said it?
Oh, wow. In my
Hey, Doc.
observations, hold on, let me just say this. In my observations, it starts when I really break it down with them. It starts with saying, boys, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. You punish for showing emotion.
Sure.
A natural emotion, right? The girls ain't punished for that. So right away, if you cry, boys don't cry, right after that follows, and I'm gonna give you something to cry about. So you hurting, and the natural thing is to let it out this way, let the rain come out, but you can't let the rain come out, because if you don't, then right after that comes this, don't be no punk. I didn't say this all the time. I don't want to be no punk, but I had no idea what a punk was. They didn't tell me what a punk was. I had to figure it out on my own. Don't let nobody disrespect you. I'm getting these things, and the young people are getting these things early. It was like this instruction without any information. So I got to make it up. And then I get with a couple other guys, and we didn't know, all we know, we got the same information without instruction. So we figuring out how we going to do this together. And I'm watching all the other dudes, but I've already told I can't show how I'm really feeling at the same time.
Right.
So we're done a disservice.
Yeah, most definitely.
We're done a disservice from childhood. But here's the other thing. It wasn't, they thought they were protecting us.
Right.
See, that's the thing. They thought they were actually helping us. It wasn't like they were being cruel. The world is tough, it's rough. You got to do these things. So I think I'm getting helped, and find out in your not knowing, or in your good intentions. I'm a time bomb, man. I'm a full balloon. I'm really I'm just a little. You ever see first graders, man?
Yeah, for sure. But it just goes to show you that we are all byproducts of emotionally immature parents.
Dr. Marshall,
Yes.
you would be surprised how many girls, because I often hear that it's okay for girls to cry. No, you'd be surprised how many girls are told, stop crying. I will give you something to cry for. I heard that pretty regularly. So see, we also were taught, you ain't supposed to get it together. Okay? Stop that crying. We ain't got, as a girl, you ain't got time for this. Okay? So I just need to throw that in. I know that boys definitely were given that expectation, a hardcore expectation, how to manage or let go of the emotions. And girls had it anyway, but girls were also told, stop it, or else I'm gonna give you something to cry for. I heard it pretty often. And Malcolm, you were gonna say something.
Oh, Doc, you took the point I was gonna make about the crying. I think that happens very early. It's a huge one because, as you say, crying is it's just a natural thing. What can you do? It's coming out when it needs to come out. Like something else that comes out, right? We ain't got no choice. It just happens. And yet somehow people make you feel bad for it, like you're doing something wrong. But the other thing I was gonna say, it starts, man, the first time you get beat up, the first time you get jumped, the first time you get threatened, and especially by somebody bigger and older than you, who's just messing with you just because.
Just because.
You know what
Just
I mean?
because.
Just because they can. That's when you're little, that feeling when you know you can't do nothing back and they messing with you and you really want to go do something, but you know you can't. Oh, we all remember those feelings. I'll never forget those feelings. And it happened when I was a little kid because it's just, you don't know what to do. And somebody's just taking advantage of you. It could be a parent, it could be a stranger, but someone's just getting over on you because they can. And you're dealing with that on your own. And how do you deal with that on your own when you're a little boy?
I'm a firm believer that tough love created urban serial killers.
That's deep.
Like there's no hilarity to that. Like tough love, because tough love was not enough love. But what it did was it made you process emotion and rage in a premeditated form. Because as you spoke about it, being bullied, being beat up, being picked on at a young age, it made you process that, knowing that I may not be able to do nothing to you right now, but when I get older, I'm going to kill you. Or I'm going to inflict the pain that you inflicted on me upon.
I'm going to do something, right? Yeah.
So it created premeditated serial killers in the urban diaspora. And in that, you have young dudes who began to dive into violence at an early age, all because they wanted someone to feel their pain. It's the African folklore and the African fable of the hero and the villain being the same person. They actually wear two different masks. One of them says, I'll never let somebody go through what I went through, and that becomes the heroic journey that they jaunt. The other becomes the person that says, I'm going to make everybody feel everything that I've gone through, and that becomes the villainized role that they play. And so the hero and villain are the same people, just in two different masks. And now we have to understand the process of that. All starts in the roots and infancy stages of tough love, because tough love wasn't enough love. It was never allowing someone to be emotionally available to them. And they began to say, nobody loves me in the way that I need to be loved, and I'm going to go out and make people feel my pain.
Wow. Tough love and the mask and back to Ashanti. I'm sorry, Dr. Marshall. But
tough love is such a part of what we all grew up with. Tough love is like quintessential Black America, you know?
Yeah, but it wasn't enough. And then we wonder why we're in a disarray.
Herm, you can jump into this. Thank you for joining us, man. I don't know if you heard what I heard coming. I heard man up and be a man. What the hell is that? I'm 6 years old. Now, how can I be, and they didn't say this is what you do to be a man. And of course I can't be a man because I'm a child, right? So
right.
Now I gotta figure that out, right? Now, okay, now I gotta figure out how to be a man, okay? Because I know I gotta be a man. Even though I'm 6, they say be a child, be a boy, they say be a man, right?
Right.
And they say man up. So now I gotta watch other supposed men to figure this out. Jump on into this conversation. I know you've been listening. I know you've been to Fab sessions, but comment on anything you've heard so far.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Marshall. Youngsters, coming up, it is, be a man up. And at some point, the youngsters is not getting the appropriate discipline, the guidance, the example for them to comprehend to what a man is, or even to comprehend to what manning up is. Because to man up is not just being physically tough, but just like Mr. Fab was saying, it's about being emotionally stable, intelligently comprehensive. So you got to be able to instill these qualities in these youngsters, and that's very important. And you know, and then the Thug Therapy, you know, it's been a beautiful thing because, first of all, because of the emotions and the commitment that Mr. Fab brings, and just the individuals that have come through there. Like, for example, this one young kid. He was maybe 20, he was like 23 years old. He was 6'4", and he got shot in a drive-by, sitting inside his car. And he spoke at the Mr. Fab at the Thug Therapy session, and it was so emotional because he's in a wheelchair, and he's using his unfortunate experience to galvanize other young people in this age bracket about avoiding getting in confrontations that's going to result into gun violence. So he was talking, and one of the things that really resonated with me is when he said, man, I'm 6'3", handsome young dude. He said, man, I'm 6'3", 6'4". But now that I've been shot, I'm 5'7". But mentally, I'm a giant because of that experience. That was one individual that came through there. And then it was the next individual. I brought my son, Andre Jr. And you know, he unfortunately walked in and found his mom deceased 10 years ago. And he never had an opportunity to really go to therapy or really express the emotions that he'd been holding. And when I told him that Mr. Fab, mom had passed, his dad had passed, he was like, he couldn't believe it. And he's like, oh man, so he was inspired because of the inspiration that Mr. Fab constantly delivered. You know, so that was another powerful moment. And then a couple of weeks ago, the Lawyers for the People came through, and they came through to make a donation. But the guy was so impressed with the vibe at the Thug Therapy session to where after he made the donation, he decided to speak on his trials and tribulations of what he had to endure with his dad. His dad was never there, but he was going through the channels, and his dad was missing in action, but his commitment and love for his daddy was so valuable, and he became a lawyer. And he wanted to share that with his dad, and unfortunately, his dad had passed away just before he became an attorney. You know, and
I gotta ask him what does Thug stand for, because I know it doesn't stand for what it's been advertised in the past, but it's in the past. So just say what the THUG stands for.
The Thug and Thug Therapy stands for teaching, healing, uniting, and guiding.
Uniting and guiding.
And we must be able to teach, to get people to get comfortable with learning and unlearning. So unlearning and relearning, because some of the things that we have been taught has been demonstrous and has derailed us. We must be able to heal. As I said earlier, we must talk about, we have to reveal to heal. So I have to put my cards on the table and you put your cards on the table so we can show that we're not playing with trick cards.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna go there because to be the facilitators, to be the leaders, to be the example, everything begins with self. You know, it begins with self. And for each of us, how did you come to the point where you could I think the worst thing that I've seen so much happen in our communities is, can I use this word nicely? Charlatans. I've seen that a lot of times.
What's the word?
Charlatans, fake people,
Okay.
people who represent one thing, you know, they doing one thing and they live in another, you know, and you get your hopes and, you know, and I think that's, we've been let down so many people, but I mean, by so many, from, you know, people close to us to the so-called leaders or whatever, you know. And so to represent, how did you get to the point to work on yourself to get this understanding for each of you? How did you get there, and what did it take to get there? I'm just curious.
I like I told you, my mother did an amazing job, and she poured in a level of confidence of me that was paramount into me being okay with who I am. So I never had those self-esteem issues. I never had a problem crying. I never had a problem being emotionally vulnerable. I never had that. But in my older age, when my mother passed, it began weighing on me, and it was too much for me to bear. And so I came to a point in my life where I said, I know that how I'm perceived in the public is, someone that has had some forms of success or whatever people want to, accredit my journey thus far with. If I'm going through these personal battles, I can only imagine what someone else who may not have a certain status, a status mask to hide behind, what they're going through. And so I felt that it was time for me to be vocal about it. And as I became a vocal advocate and this emotional distrust with ourselves, I chose to create this workshop and invite my friends and tell and anyone that may have been going through some things and saying, let's fellowship. Because as you said, we've lost trust in the clergy because we've watched certain things unfold. We've seen certain congregations sell the community out for self-benefit.
Absolutely.
And so we've lost faith in those leaders that have been appointed by other individuals. And now I have to be able to go walk this walk myself, so my people can see that here I am wholeheartedly telling you what I'm going through, as vulnerable as I can. Adam in the garden, I'm walking around naked, hiding from God. And God tells you, why are you hiding? You don't think that I can see? And I allowed myself to be visible to my people. And as they saw me, they say, well, let me try it. And here we are. We're building, and we're approaching almost a year on Thug Therapy, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. And I love the partnerships and mergers and acquisitions that I'm doing with my other brothers that are doing similar work. And I plan to continue to build on this with my brothers in solidarity.
What for you, Shanti? What led you to the point where you could, what work did you do on yourself? And then represent. That's the word I'm looking for. We always talk represent the block, to represent this in your thought and your action.
I mean, I think it's easier when you look back and you can see it putting the pieces together. But I would say probably one that I would start at is when I decided to leave my engineering career to become a teacher. The hardest decision was I knew that teachers didn't make money, good money. And I grew up poor. So why would I go all of this time to college, 6 years to be an engineer, to get a good job living in my condo in Walnut Creek, and then decide to be a teacher? Teachers can't live in this condo. What are you doing? And to make a decision to leave that, it wasn't a decision like whether it's what I really want to do. My ego was in the way. And it was hard. Like I fought it. I fought it for 2 years. I started driving from Walnut Creek to San Jose, that's an hour and a half each way, to make more money, thinking the money was going to fix it. And it actually made it almost worse. And so I think it was like, Shanti, what if I just do it for a little while? I thought I was going to go to teach for 2 years and then come back to the engineering, So I was like, okay, I'm going to go give 2 years to my community. And I got in there 2 years. And that first year, that's when Ever Forward Club started. And I saw these smart young men in my classes who were like failing. Now I'm at San Lorenzo. There's no other black male teachers there. There's a lot of black boys there. And I'm like, why are these smart black boys failing my class? Well, because smart's not cool at that school. So if you want to be cool with all the other athletes and guys with money and guys with nice shoes and cars, you ain't going to be no nerd. So there was a rules. And I was like, dude, but you're brilliant. You're brilliant. Why are you? Well, you can't be. Look, that teacher over there, she hates you. Fail her class. Don't fail my class, because I'm here for you. I love you, brother. And I think it was the reason Ever Forward Club started is I knew I couldn't do it as a teacher teaching math. I had to have a side conversation with these young men, because in class, they'd much rather argue with me than let me help them. So let me point out how smart you are. I'd be like, dude, you know how smart you are? I had a kid like give me a side look, like, don't you ever say that to me in front of all these people ever again, right? And I'm like, why is he looking at me like that? Well, because to look like a nerd, being smart wasn't cool right there. And I think that's what I had to learn. So I think for my personal self, it was okay, I'm in this profession. I'm doing a horrible job being that there's smart kids are failing. I'm making peanuts. I'm working at Chili's after work just to keep make ends meet. I remember the first time the teachers came in to eat at Chili's after work. There's a brand new Chili's at Bayfair. I leave my teaching job to go work at Chili's because I'm like, how do people do this? And I was their server. I was like, I felt like I knew I was doing it just because I needed to keep surviving, but I also felt like, what the heck am I doing? And I also felt like I should go back to engineering because I never had to work no side job as an engineer. You know what I'm saying? There was plenty of money at the end of the month. As a teacher, I'm barely. So I think that the hard part was the decisions that I want to give back to my community. I want to feel like this work matters. And so I realized that it was not going to just be as a teacher. And the Ever Forward Club started this process of me saying, I have to do something more than just what other people do in the classrooms. And that's how it all started. It's been a long journey of mine. I was creating in the Ever Forward Club what I wish I had, what I thought was possible for men, but there was no one invited me to a men's circle back in 2002. I had never been invited. I didn't even know men had circles.
Yeah, we had circles. We smoked weed and got high and laughed at each other and clowned each other. That was the circle that we had. This is how you
Dr.
solve your
Marshall.
problem. Go ahead.
Hey, one other thing is like, the thug therapy thing. It's almost like a 2024 revamp of the Black Panthers. And the thing about it's like individuals coming out the penitentiary that have been at these meetings. I'm talking about I have met guys that just come home from doing 30 years. Met a guy that just come home from doing 40 years, 25 years. These guys is coming to these meetings and they speaking and they revealing some of the trials and tribulations they went through in prison and some of the adjustments that they got to make coming out here in the free society and just trying to navigate the circumstances and seeing the homelessness in Oakland, in San Francisco, all over the country. So, and it's like, just to hear individuals come and speak on what they doing to try to navigate the circumstances and better their position, whether it's just like Asante saying, whether it's helping the youth in whatever capacity, possible. That's what people is trying to do. And people need to, you want to be appreciative of that. That's why I'm appreciative of, always been appreciative of what the Street Soldier and what you've been doing for decades, and for Mr. Fab to take it upon himself, because it takes someone of his influence and his credibility, or even my credibility and influence, to take the initiative to start something and build the momentum, and that's what's starting to happen.
I say, Herm, I don't care who gets to you as long as somebody gets to you.
That's it. That's it.
If you want to hear from somebody, see, I don't believe in, I've said this before, people say, I don't believe in the generation gap. I believe in the truth gap. Now, it depends on who you want to hear the truth from.
Right.
You might not want to hear it from somebody older. You might want to hear it from somebody younger. But if we're all saying the same truth, you ain't going to have no excuse. And that to me is wonderful. So you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just want to say to Fab, I was on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, I was at the Scottish Rite Temple. Happened to be there for your event. Was it Thursday?
The Scottish Rite?
Oh, no, maybe it wasn't Scottish Rite, but it was downtown Oakland. Thursday night.
What are
the Thug Therapy event?
Okay, yeah. So it's Wednesday at the
it's Wednesday. Excuse
ballroom.
Me. Okay.
Yeah.
I was actually there, and it was a breath of fresh air. Honestly, I didn't know what I was walking into. And I was so impressed. And I just have to echo what Herm is saying. I was impressed by what was going on, but I was really impressed with you. And when I saw you at the end, when you remember you gave that prayer, and I saw everyone tuned in and hanging on your every word. It was such a powerful moment. And I saw a glimpse of your power in that moment. And then it just hit me. I was like, You don't have to be here.
And I'm not going to use the word power. I'm not going to use the word power. I'm going to use the word service.
Okay. Whatever
Because
word.
that word, see, the people who do this work are servants to me. You're a servant. You're a servant. I know
Power sounds like an ego trip thing, and
Well,
it can go to your
be.
head. I get it.
Can be.
I get
Service
it.
is not, right? And the humblest of us are servants. We're servants. So I just want to, I mean, you can keep that word, but
That's
for me,
fine.
the word service, because you're doing a service of, you're a servant, the least of these. Lady E, you've been wanting to say something for a while. I
Well,
see.
no, I haven't. I mean, you know, but you know, I understand that jumping in. It's funny because every time I hear Mr. Stanley's voice, you know, I'm laughing a little bit, chuckling, because Stanley, I am in San Francisco. Typically, when I am on the radio show, I am calling in from Texas, but I am in San Francisco, and it's possible that I could have been in the studio tonight. And I tell you, there is something about your voice that intrigues me. Okay. And I know me well enough to know if I were sitting next to you, I would say, I would tip that hat up. Let me see, let me see you. Let me see you. Okay. Because there's definitely something about you. And Malcolm, I hear you when you talk about the power. And Stanley, I see you drop your head. And then I'm working with that, with your head down, and then you come up. And when you come up with, and I've got to say, the power. Now, but when I talk about the power, it's not yours.
There you go. there you go. That's right. Because I saw it. I watched him have it.
It's
But there's a
not
better
yours.
description. It
And
wasn't
so-
his, but it was on it.
And so when Dr. Martin come in, and say, you know, it's servant, okay? So the service and what you do, but there ain't no question about power, because I'm in touch with that. Malcolm is in touch with that. Ashanti is in touch with that. Dr. Marshall is in touch with, you know, you get in touch with that moment of power that's not yours. But what it is for me, it is, I am a vessel.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes through. And when it comes through, I don't try to you can't, ain't nothing I can do. It just you know, there it is. It comes through. And when you would
Anointed and
go
appointed.
in your room, hold your head up, baby. Go in that room and open up that dictionary and read that thesaurus. You were mad as I don't know what. Why you in there learning these words? But I'm gonna go ahead on and say, but God took that horrible punishment. And all while you rapping, I don't even know the raps that you used to do. I am not a fan of rap. After Sugar Hill Gang, I was done. Let me just be honest. After Sugar Hill Gang, I was done, because people would get on there and they would rap about things that would turn kids around. You know, people get in love with the rhythm and the beat, and then they end up doing the stuff, you know, and then their life gets flipped upside down. And then all they've got left is the journey back. And sometimes that's not easy. And you need somebody that's going to love enough, sit long enough, and be patient and caring enough to help them come back, so we don't lose another child.
Yeah.
And I watch you drop your head. I don't know what you're doing, but when you come back up, baby, you got some words and you got a message. Ashanti, you are no different. You sit there and it comes from the heart. What comes from the heart? What time is it? Reaches the heart. Hold your head up, baby.
Nah,
You know,
I appreciate
From
that.
the heart reaches the heart. And so the power ain't yours. You are a vessel. And I pray that God don't let you rest until you keep doing the work to help young people find and save and regain their lives. That's this panel that's on here tonight. Oh, look at you. There he is. There he is. No, smile too. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
And I have to say, I admire you, both of you, because people don't care about what you say. People care about what you do, right? And what's the old Barry White thing? You practice what you preach, and somebody's always watching. That's what we tell the young people we work with. Somebody's always watching. So you demonstrate what you're talking about by the way you live, and that has way more impact on people than what you say. You know, and that's why when I heard, I'm just this is wonderful because we need it, and I know when I got an understanding of all that was going on, and everybody that knows me knows when it happened, right? When I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he showed me the big picture, how this was created, I was like, this is, man, now I see. But you know, not everybody reads. And I call it, you know, I don't call it being, you know, I hate the word woke. I call it consciousness. It's consciousness. And when you get this consciousness, then, you know, but then you have to live this consciousness. And so I have so much admiration for you wanting to do it, because, you know, you ain't gonna, you could be a stockbroker, you could make $1 billion, right? You know, but it's not about the money, it's about the people for you. And I just what I know, I mean, in these meetings, when you get to the young people, I look at it this way, you know, you see a lot of brothers from prison are getting out and coming. But ideally, we don't want them to go there in the first place. So how can we create healthy young people that will be able not to fall into the, oh my God, the landmines, the traps that are out there for us? Because we know, look, I say this all the time, this thing was designed for us to fail. All right. Okay. And I love Chuck D's line. We just refuse to lose. From day one, this thing was set up for us to fail. And the traps are everywhere. I mean, y'all heard me screaming on the air for 30 years, like that crack. Okay, hang on. That's a trap. That's a trap. Oh, it's money. No, it's a trap. It's a trap. How do we develop young people, young men in particular? But let me add this other thing. I'm really into this. Domestic violence, which is I could do a show on every week, is overwhelmingly men's violence against women. Overwhelming. And somehow and unfortunately, a lot of the work is, you know, services for women, but not getting men not to do that, right? That you don't have to do that in the first place. And there's, I mean, and the prisons, what? There's 9 prisons in California, and male prisons in Northern Cal, and 1 women's prison. So we got to stop us from falling into those traps. And let's talk about how we create young men that don't become that in the first place. And that ain't gonna be easy, because every so much about this tells us this is what you need to do to be a man. Thoughts about that? Anybody? Anybody?
You know, I think you know, for one, like parents, let's say if you got a kid that's you know 12, 13, 14, you got to take it upon yourself to navigate that kid through the challenges. You know, my thing, and Fab talk about this all the time, was AAU basketball, football. You know, that's what I did with my kids to keep them from getting involved in the wrong activities. And I know all kids is not going to participate in athletics, but even now, it's so many different other outlets. Whether it's if you see your kid, if he got a skill set to become a coder or someone that's efficient with the technology, you know, you want to instill confidence and give him that encouragement, even if you don't know the steps, just with your wisdom as an older person, encourage them and let them know, like, look, focus on this and avoid that. You know, I have always told my kids, You can be as cool as you want to be. And you can listen to this music and you can listen to this music. But just make sure you don't go out there and get involved, because half the music is exaggerated. And if you go out there and participate and attempt to do some of the stuff that you're hearing, you're going to end up in prison. You're going to end up on death row. So, we gotta take these kids, and if you're fortunate to have a organization where you got 10 kids, you gotta instill them. And my producer TC said this years ago. He said, Herm, every rapper got a different personality. You got to rub each rapper a certain way. Just like an athlete, every athlete got a different personality. So a kid if you got a group of kids, you can't use the same method on every kid. This kid you make him, get in its face. This kid you may have to pull him to the side. This kid you may have to be a little sensitive, a little gentle with him. This kid you may have to help him buy some tennis shoes.
But are there some basic things that we can put in? I'm looking for those. I'm not disagreeing with her. I'm decree. Yeah. Well, let me get some other thoughts. Let me get some other thoughts. Both of you, what do you think? What do we, looking back on it, what was put into us that creates these emotional roadblocks? What can we do? What can we give them? Because let me tell you what, I'm gonna just say, I got a lot of game that sounded like wisdom. Okay. I got a whole bunch of game. I didn't know it was game. I thought of wisdom. And they acted like they knew what the hell they was talking about, right? So, and it wasn't. It was not wisdom. I didn't hear wisdom that was much older from somebody who was actually what I considered had the qualities of a man. So I did that. But what do you think we can put in them early on so that they don't have to go through this to get to the other side?
It's simple. Something that no one else is putting in them, which is love. And when we realize that, when you look at the amount of children and the amount of people that are on this earth that has never been truly loved, it makes you even interrogate yourself and say, when is the last time, or who is the last person that has actually loved you? Not loved you because you were successful, not loved you because you had a nice car, not loved you because you dressed well, not loved you because you spoke well, not loved you because you smelled good, not loved you because of how you made them feel, but actually loved you and didn't have to. The reason why kids, the retention rate of the things that we're doing and we're teaching, and it resonates with people because they see that we're leading with love and we don't have to. 20 years, I've done nothing but pour into my community and philanthropy. August 11th will be my 20th anniversary of my backpack giveaway. Children that have been coming there and parents that have been coming there, I've never received one county dollar up until 6 months ago. I've done everything out of my own pocket. I've given back and I've done all of these things. We must understand that the power in the people will always be more powerful than the power of the people in power. I say the power of the people is more powerful than the people that are in power. And when you go out and you show and you lead with love, that resonates with people, because certain individuals have never been loved. And it's that simple, because love is the turning emotion of all emotions. It's the God of emotions. Because once that is instilled in someone, then there's nothing that they can't do, because it helps them establish self-love. And when you love yourself, there's nothing in life that you'll allow yourself to do to let you down. So you'll go after any goal that you set forth.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the love. When I started, I understand the philanthropy part. When I first started sending kids to college, you gonna send me to college? My daddy didn't do that. And you gonna help pay for it? I said, what? And you know what they said to me? What's in it for you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
This is my, like we said,
I love you.
this isn't my mission. This is what God has instilled with me. I'm appointed and anointed, and I'm anointed and appointed. And I have to adhere, because for several years I ran away. I was Jonah for several years. I ran away from my calling.
I remember this is the day I didn't understand myself what I had been asked to do. And this brother, I remember Ronnie Hatter, God rest his soul. He came up to me, he said, Mr. Marshall, he said, you've been called to do this. And then he said, you can help a lot of young people. He told me, accept the calling. And I had to have somebody tell me that, because it was like, no, Ronnie, I didn't like, what, really? I'm me? He said, yeah. And see, but he also brought me, what he doesn't understand, and he probably understands, said, you know, the joy you get out of this, people think you getting a lot. There's nothing but joy in this. That's what people don't get about this. There is joy in doing it. Ashanti, your thoughts about creating this love. I like that. Love that.
And I agree. And I think that what we see in the middle school group that we have this year, and we have a Black Boy Circle that meets out of school, it's making a space where these young men can be seen, heard, and understood. And I think that in the work for my own self, as I, started joining my own men's team, but also the work, one of the questions someone asked me is, where are you fully known? That's what they asked me. Where are you fully known? And I think it was a mentor of mine. I said, nowhere, like nowhere. And then he asked me, is it possible to be fully loved if you're not fully known? And I was, perplexed with the question. Like, let me think about that for a minute. And I think one of the things that I realized in Ever Forward is that we started with love. We started with, look, brothers, there's nothing in it for me. I had one young man, every time that we wanted to go and do a trip, it was always like, why are you doing this for me when my own family won't do this for me? I'm like, I can't really answer that because I'm just here. And so you can keep pushing me away, and that's fine, but I'm just going to be here. And when you're ready to accept the care, the support, the brotherhood, then it'll be here. But imagine if you didn't think it could come from anyone else but the people who you think it was supposed to come from. Then it's easier to push everybody else away. It's easier to push people away. It's like, no, you can't be doing this for me. Like, my own family won't do this for me. So why are you? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I was sent. Maybe it's like, how do you answer a question that's really unanswerable? And I think a lot of our young men is making space, and the earlier they can find a space to like do that. Like when our young men started middle school, they may go to high school and be like, oh, I'm good. I don't need this program no more. And then a few years later, you'll get a call or a text. Hey, Branch, you still doing that Ever Forward thing?
Yeah,
Like,
we're
still here.
That. Yep.
We're still here.
I
Like,
hear
we've been
that.
waiting for you. We're here for you. We never left. But you got to give them time to recognize that maybe they were hearing the call on their heart, that somebody was really trying to care for them. And then they often don't believe it is true because you're like, it's not coming from the vessel or the body of the person that it's supposed to come from. So therefore, it must not be real. And I think that's what we're trying to create.
And I'm thinking of the trust. It's like, what it's like to say, he good as gold. He good as, that's like, really, you ain't a lot of people say that about, right? He good as gold. I trust out there. That's a word that we ain't been able to use. You got a word, but that is a beautiful word when you can say, hey, look, and in some ways I grew up with that because everything got destroyed during that era, that crack era. But when you gave your word, it was it.
Yeah.
And so to be able to trust and not worry about somebody, they're gonna be around them. So I just gotta commend everything that's going on. And I said, people have heard me say this, and there are times in history, with Black history, when you go after slavery, there was Reconstruction, right? We had to, obviously, first time we had to go, and we made strides, right? And then they shut it down, right? There was a Supreme Court decision, and there was a presidential election that undid all those things that we were, achieving, Black Senate, all this sort of thing, right? Shut down. I have called, I've called this BC and AC, before crack and after crack. Crack did a lot of damage. It made abnormality normal, right? It put mothers on drugs and fathers in jail, and it was worse. To me, it was worse than slavery because mothers did not want to take care of their children. Even in slavery times, mothers took care of the children. So I've dubbed this time recovery. We're in recovery, and you need the people to help us recover and get us back to some sort of normality, right? And the work all of us are doing are trying to restore, I'm sorry, I'm getting excited, the normality. But that's not easy because people have, Abnormal has normal ain't been normal, right?
We've normalized abnormal.
Yes, we've normalized abnormal. Like you supposed to, Pac did at 25, Biggie did. You know, you supposed to live to be what? People can live to be 100 now, right? So we got to, and so but I think there are people who have been called to do that. You know, they have been called to show men, you know, you don't have to be this way, but it's gonna take a lot because we've been in this hole. Like Batman in that hole. Remember Batman in the hole? He had to get back up
For sure.
and climb back up. And those of us are here to do the work. So it's just amazing, wonderful, wonderful.
Before we done, not to cut you off, and
No,
I
you're
apologize, but before we done, I want to say thank you for the work that you've done for over 3 decades. Me being young and listening to you and seeing from the CC Sabathias and many other individuals that hold you so high in regards of what you've done, not only for them, but for family members and for the people that you didn't have to. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank Herm Lewis for being a trailblazer in this kind of work of when you retire your street jersey and you become a coach to show people to play the game different. You see, it's all a sport. And in that sport, we have coaches that have coached us to continue to play the way that they played. And we fall right into the same trap that some of our elders have. And then we have people that change the narratives. Huey P was on to something. But unfortunately, his demise was because they didn't have the technology and intel to fight what they were up against. COINTEL deemed to be far more powerful than their social movements because of the intel that they were able to employ in the Black people at that time. We didn't have armor and weaponry to defend ourselves against a weapon that we had never seen at a time where they were using social media before it had publicly faced the rest of the village. We lost that fight. So now for individuals that have the temerity to do this work at Free Spirit, you have to be courageous and you have to understand that this isn't going to be a journey that people might accompany on at first, because they're scared. They have no trust in leadership because they say if somebody has allowed you to become a leader, what they paying you, what they giving you, how you in that position. So you go through all that skepticism and so on and so forth. But to be able to stand on the shoulders of my ancestors and do this work in solidarity with the brothers that are doing it, I am thankful and I am grateful for people like you, because you shown me that it doesn't have to be a forced force to reckon with. I'm doing this, and when you're ready, I'll be here and I'll be available. I had a teacher named Miss McKinney, and I was a class clown because I was far smarter, not to be supercilious or anything of that nature, but I was far smarter than the rest of my classmates. So I would be bored and I would become rambunctious in my classwork and I would disrupt the other students. My teacher pulled me to the side one day. She said, I have the patience of Job. And when you're ready to fall into your purpose, I'll be here. My grandmother and my mother said that you would be a preacher one day, and I would laugh because I had held fallouts with the clergy, not understanding that preacher doesn't have to always be about religious sentiments. It can be about realigning the community. And in this realignment, I am only doing the work that you guys have done, and I hope to continue that work, as well as inspire others to join the work. So I just want to say thank you. This has been a lifetime dream of mine to come up to Street Soldiers, to not only be a student, but to let you know that your teachings didn't fall on deaf ears and people listen. So as we continue to carry this work that you guys have been doing for decades, I thank you for the love and embrace. And I promise you that I'll continue to hold this torch until my arms have no more strength in them. And by that time, I can pass it on to someone who is strengthened.
Solid.
Reply to that. I'm going to give that to you.
That's powerful.
This is a marathon relay race.
With tears in my eyes.
A marathon relay race for love, for freedom, justice, and equality. And you know what a marathon is. That's a long race, right?
Yeah.
Relay, right?
Yeah.
The only time the race stops is when you turn around and get a baton and ain't nobody there to give it to. And so that was a beautiful, man. Thank you for that, brother.
Thank you.
for that. Because
Appreciate it, Fab. Dr. Marshall.
Somebody else. Lady E, you
Well,
always have things up the way
before I say anything, I'm looking at Ashanti. Ashanti, did you have something on your heart that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'm just I'm thankful to be sitting next to this brother. When I saw him at the TEDx Oakland, he did his TEDx so different, and I was like, well, you can sit down? You can sit down? Like, what? They didn't tell me you could sit down.
Walk back and forth.
And so when he got off the stage, we took a picture, and I said, "Man, thank you for the words you said on that stage." And that was during the fires. So I remember everyone was wearing these masks, and we were talking about masks in a metaphorical way. But I've been observing from afar and just appreciating you. And I'm thankful that we got to be in this space together right here. So but the last thing I'll say is, folks, this is summertime. So if you're trying to figure out how to support your young men, I mean, our work is primarily with young men. So, we are trying to do things over the summer that makes it accessible for them, but it starts with you. And I think a lot of times, as we move into summer, it can be like, oh, just go figure it out for yourself. There's a lot of our resources out here in the Bay Area, so please keep your eyes open for those resources. We start with the mask as a way for doing that. And so, Lady Estelle, thank you for letting me say something. And I'm thankful. This Million Mask movement is a global experience. And so we invite people all over the world to make a mask, 3 steps. So that's what we're inviting people to do. So Lady Estelle, thank you so much.
I just want to say, each one teach one. Street soldiers alive and free, keeping people from being 6 feet deep.
That's the original song. Don't worry, you coming on to we have an anniversary show.
I know it. I love you, Dr. Marshall.
Love you, bro, forever. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mrs. Still.
Being surrounded by brilliant, beautiful Black men. I'm so sorry I didn't come into the studio. This would have been a moment for me. Like, we got the brothers. Taking care of brothers so that women who don't mind doing the work to take care of men can do that without being fearful and worried and wondering and holding it down because there are no men around that will do it. And you all make me so happy and proud. Let me tell you some of the things I heard. Anger is expected, respected, but never inspected. We need to stop and inspect the anger. What is wrong with being heartbroken? Nothing. Nothing. Unfortunately, it happens, but we do the work to get beyond it and through it and heal and keep going. Reveal to heal. Be mindful of what you are triggered by. Teach the children how to think, not what to think. But young men, the gift you bring is about creating a space for young men to see without judgment, see without fear, to see how they walked a certain way, and now to know the way to go has become clear. To see removes the strongholds and allows them to be free to feel, to heal, and be the men they were created to be. This is Lady Estelle asking you to consider all of this. Thank you for a wonderful, wonderful show. Your voices, your presence, and the power that moves through you will continue to make a difference in the lives who need it. So thank you and blessings to you. Reverend Deborah Estelle.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. We'll do this again. Got everybody get out of here. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. I ain't seen you since that youth uprising. You are doing wonderful, wonderful. And you know how I feel about you, brother.
Love you, brother.
And Herm, we're gonna do
love.
it. Hey, and we're gonna love and support each other. We got
Without
that.
a doubt.
Love and support each other.
without a
right.
doubt.
See everybody
Peace.
out there next week right here on Street Soldier. Good
Good
night.